Welcome to The Explainer. Tonight, we're diving into the moments when the laughter stopped. We're going to break down how a formal dinner for Washington's elite became the site of a shocking assassination attempt and how one of the most secure events in the world was breached.
Let's start right in the middle of the chaos. April 25, 2026, at the Washington Hilton. Those are the words of President Trump, really capturing the surreal moment when an evening of jokes and journalism was shattered by gunfire, a sound he hoped, just for a second, was a clumsy waiter dropping a tray.
You have to understand, this wasn't just any dinner. This was the White House Correspondents Dinner, an event that was already a pressure cooker of tension, really the culmination of years of open hostility between the press and the administration.
Imagine it. Inside that ballroom, it's just pure pandemonium. We're talking 2,300 guests, journalists, celebrities, and a huge part of the presidential line of succession, all diving for cover as Secret Service agents swarmed the stage to get the president, the first lady, and the vice president out of there.
So that's the big question, right? How on earth did an armed man get so close to the president at what should have been one of the most secure events on the planet? Well, the answer wasn't about brute force. It was about a subtle, critical flaw in the security plan, a flaw the attacker himself would later brag about exploiting.
Okay, so let's break this down. You'd think the security for this event would be an absolute fortress. But the attacker didn't try to storm the walls. He was way smarter than that. He found a way to already be inside when the fortress was built around him.
What's really incredible when you look at this timeline is just how fast everything happened. The whole attack, from the gunman leaving his room to being tackled, took less than 2 minutes. And get this, the Secret Service started moving the president in just 15 seconds. 15 seconds. That's just unbelievable reaction time.
And here's the kicker. The fatal flaw in the whole plan. The entire security apparatus was focused on threats coming to the hotel from the outside. But the attacker, Cole Tomas Allen, he just checked in as a regular guest the day before the security lockdown even started. He brought his weapons right into his room, completely undetected.
This really breaks down that defense and layers idea. It did work in the end, but only because that final human layer was absolutely perfect under fire. See, the failure of the outer ring meant everything, and I mean everything, came down to that chaotic showdown just steps from the ballroom door.
So who was this man who got so close? You might be picturing some kind of stereotypical loner, but he didn't fit that mold at all. In fact, his public persona was the complete opposite of what you'd expect.
I mean, look at this. On paper, Cole Tomas Allen of Torrance, California, seems like a model citizen. He's got advanced degrees from places like Caltech. He was named Teacher of the Month at his job. He lived in a nice family home. His public profile just makes the reality of what he did all the more shocking.
And this is where you really see the two sides of him. On one hand, you have this praised teacher, a successful professional. But online, a completely different person emerges. One whose digital footprint was filled with such extreme rhetoric that it was alarming his own family. It was a classic case of a hidden, radicalized life.
And then, just minutes before he launched the attack, Allen hit send on an email to his family. It's this lengthy manifesto, and it gives us a direct and frankly pretty disturbing look right into his motives.
This is so important for understanding his thinking. He didn't see himself as a terrorist. In his mind, what he was doing was a moral imperative. He framed the whole thing as a necessary act to stop a leader he viewed as fundamentally corrupt and illegitimate.
His list of grievances was this strange blend of the political and the philosophical. He cited specific foreign policies, like the war in Iran, but he also railed against the Christian idea of turning the other cheek, which he believed amounted to complicity in the face of oppression. But this might be the most chilling part of his manifesto. He's actively critiquing the very security that was there to stop him. He mocks what he calls their incompetence and points out that he could have brought in a damn Mod Deuce, a powerful machine gun, because of that exact resident guest flaw he exploited. The arrogance is just stunning.
So the attack itself was over in minutes, but the fallout, the political, institutional, and cultural shockwaves from that night are absolutely still being felt today.
$400 million. That is the estimated price tag for the new, ultra-secure ballroom that President Trump is now demanding be built on the White House grounds. In the wake of the attack, he's framed it not as a luxury, but as a national security necessity to make sure a breach like this can never happen again. You know, sometimes reality is just stranger than fiction. In a truly bizarre subplot, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt joked on the red carpet that there will be some shots fired tonight, meaning verbal jabs. Minutes later, when actual shots rang out, her comment went viral, fueling all sorts of conspiracy theories. It was just a strange collision of language and reality.
It's really important to remember, this attack didn't happen in a vacuum. It was the latest flashpoint in this deeply concerning trend in America where political grievances are turning into real-world violence. Analysts immediately drew lines connecting the shooting to other major conflicts of the era, seeing it as a very dangerous escalation.
And that really brings us to the fundamental question this whole incident leaves us with. In an era of such intense polarization, how do we find the balance between access and safety? How do we protect our institutions and our leaders without walling them off completely from the very public they're supposed to serve? It's a tough one, with no easy answers.